Hello, welcome, Marlene here. For today's cookie project, we're going to be using Silhouette. They have a store where they have all kinds of images that you can purchase, and we're going to be using those images. I picked this typewriter to decorate a cookie, and I'm going to show you my process to create a custom stencil and then use that to create a cookie. And the next thing we're looking at today is I got this kind of battery powered. You charge this up, Airbrush, and I'm testing it out. If after watching my video I entice you into making a purchase, please know that if you make that purchase via Amazon, I do get a commission, so it helps my channel. Thanks so much for that. And now let's get on to today's cookie project. Here's my cookie. I'm going to outline and flood that in white. This cookie has been hand cut, and so you're better to hand cut your cookies, bake them before you cut the stencil, just to make sure that you're gonna get the perfect fit that you want on these. Since it's a custom design, you know your cookies, if they tend to move quite a bit, really more prudent, like I say, to cut the stencil after they've been baked. There. And now we're just going to flood the surface. If you have the correct consistency, everything should heal pretty easily. You shouldn't have to fiddle too much. As you can see, my icing didn't fall off the cookie, and it's healing. You need the icing to touch the previous row. If you just go like this in the middle, this isn't gonna move. It's just gonna sit there in a line. You need the other line to kind of pull together. They become liquid. When it's alone, it kind of holds its shape. Royal icing is an interesting thing. Once you know how to manipulate it, there needs to be a connection to the last line for this kind of gravity leveling to happen. There. And now I'm just stabbing the center and giving it a slight shake, and that's all that's needed for it really to smooth out completely. And we're gonna let this dry overnight because I am going to be pushing on the surface quite a bit. And if you tilt it in the light, you can see if your surface is really smoothed, if you have any dimples. And like I say, we're gonna let it dry overnight. I'm just going to quickly talk to you about creating stencils to decorate your cookies or using the art to create cookies. So here is the design store. They sell images. This is all uploaded by individual artists. This is not all by the same person. So all these artists upload their content and they get a portion of the sales when you guys make a purchase. And you can kind of look through. Certain things work better to create cookie stencils than others. I find that if you can layer the darker colors over the lighter colors, that also gives it more of a seamless fit. So I'm going to just walk you through the typewriter. That's the one that I chose and why. I'll explain why. Here there are several. I don't recommend something like that. It's just a little bit trickier to use. I opted for this one right here, and when you make a purchase of these, you don't see it right off, but you can separate them color by color. You can separate them and create a really custom stencil. What I liked about this particular one is I could see here, I'm going to airbrush in pink. I can come over the pink with the black, and obviously the black's not going to be impacted by the color behind because it's lighter. And then I can come in with royal icing and do the buttons, and this is going to work. So this is why I selected this particular image. And now this is it. I broke it up. And you should be mindful that, you know, when you have small elements like this, you can't go microscopically. The cookie has to be a certain size for these small elements to work. And you're also going to need a perimeter. You see here I drew a perimeter, and that is my cookie shape. That is my template to cut out, hand cut my cookie dough. And I did make this custom here. You're Just My Type. I made that in my my own kind of drawing app. I used just font, You're Just My Type, and then I created here, let's zoom in on that. You can see I created anchors to hold the kind of like center bits together. And let's go back again. I've got this formatted to fit my whole plastic. So my plastic is 8.5 by 11, and I like to cut them all on one sheet. Just keeps everything together, and then I can have all this in my binder and reuse it when I want. Now make sure if you're making this for orders and you're profiting from this, it's not for personal use, that you get the commercial use license, and then you won't run into any problems. They're not expensive, like $6 or something like that. But you can look at the different versions of whatever you're looking for and find the ones that just kind of work better for cookies. And now let's get to the actual cookie decorating part. And I'm testing out this airbrush. It's battery powered, it's charged up, and so you don't need a wire and you can just airbrush. Great if you give classes. There's not a ton of wires all crossing and knocking things over. In this particular case, I don't like that it's black. I can't see how much color's in my little cup there. And now I'm just pulling the trigger like you would on a regular airbrush. And you can hear the compressor. It's not very loud. It's not a super powerful thing, and you don't need a lot of power. It's a cookie. And I'm just doing a light pass on everything in this electric pink, and then I'm going to darken my perimeter. There. Okay. Very nice. Right. So I converted this image that's normally made out of paper to fit, so I'm trying to figure out how to line up my stencil. So this is going to be done in royal icing, but to line up my gray area, I'm just airbrushing the space bar here, and that'll help me know where to put my gray icing. So I'm just marking my cookie there with that, and then I know that goes like that. So hold on, let me just lock up the stencil there, and you see that I know now I can position, you see the space bar goes in that area, so now I know where to position my stencil thanks to that gray line. And then I'm going to come back after and redo that in icing anyway. So I'm just doing a pass of this gray on top of everything. So I want to hide the pink. This is the background of the keyboard. So if you want to go jet black, that's up to you. I'm doing kind of like a gray. And that's it. There it is. Here's my first try of it, and I find that the buttons were a little bit translucent, and so I've added some white food gel to my icing, and we're gonna try it again. And so now I'm putting it this way. I'm laying my stencil down, lining up the space bar and this little button here, so I know where to position. I've got my icing here. Like I said, I added a bit of food gel to it. holding that in position, making sure my button is positioned here, my space bar. Pretty good, pretty good. There it is. I'm going to paint these two elements in silver. That's it. All right, so the wafer paper rolled up and completely fell off, like just completely fell off. So we're gonna try to save these cookies. I'm going to pipe a perimeter which I will flood, creating the paper. So there, and now I'm gonna try to hide what we did before and save these as best we can. So there's my perimeter which I will flood, and then we'll airbrush the message onto that. Now that my perimeter has had just a little bit of time to dry, I can come in and fill that. If you let it dry just a bit, then it doesn't move when you come in with the flood. And I'm just touching the edge and filling in the whole area. There. We're gonna let this dry so that we can airbrush the little message on here. I mean, it's probably better even in icing than the wafer paper from a design standpoint. All right, I've got the paper section. It dried overnight, and now I've got my stencil in place, and I'm going to airbrush that. Let's see. Pretty good. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the cookie tutorial, and now I just want to quickly talk to you about the airbrush unit. I used it on a couple of cookies. Obviously this one you saw me use it, and I've used it on a couple of others as well. And I have to say, the fact that there's no wire, I really like that. I like that it's kind of like right here. I can just grab it super fast, and I don't need to have a plug. My kitchen, I have very few plugs. I have like 3 extension cords, and it gets to be a nuisance. I really like it. And the only thing I want to mention is the plug. If you look at the link, you'll see there's different types of plug. Make sure that you get the correct one. And also, if you can get an airbrush gun that isn't black. I do not like the black. I can't see anything. I put my color in there and it's like a dark black hole, and I can't see how much color I have left. That's the only negative. So I hope you enjoyed the video, that you found it useful if you're looking for another little gadget to add to your collection. This is cute. I have to say, I do like it. If you do classes, I think this would be amazing. So thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads, and I'll see you next time.